It all started on what should have been a regular Saturday afternoon. I was pulling into my driveway after running some quick errands when I noticed a random guy standing there, arms crossed like he owned the place. At first, I figured he might be lost or waiting for someone, but as I got closer, it was clear he wasn't going anywhere. I asked him to move so I could park, and that's when he said something that made me do a double take. Asterisk, you can't park here. This is HOA property. Asterisk, except we don't even asterisk have asterisk and HOA. Turns out, this guy had a badge, but not the kind that actually means anything. A cheap knockoff pinned to his chest, and a whole lot of attitude to go with it. He started barking orders, trying to flex like he had authority, blocking my driveway with his car and refusing to budge. I stayed calm, but my sister, not so much. She's an off-duty cop, and when she stepped outside and saw what was going on, things escalated fast. What happened next caught everyone off guard, including the fake HOA guy. 1 minute he was trying to play boss, the next. Let's just say the crowd watching got a front row seat to karma. But what really broke him? That moment's still coming. Now here's where things started to get weird. While the guy was still blocking my driveway, he kept insisting he was, with the neighborhood watch, and said he was authorized to issue parking citations. I asked for ID. He flashed that fake badge again like it was something official. No name, no department, nothing legit. Just a shiny piece of metal and a whole lot of fake confidence. He started tossing around words like code enforcement and residential violations, but nothing he said actually made sense. My sister, who'd been watching from the porch at first, came down and calmly asked him what authority he had to be detaining someone or blocking private property. He tried to talk over her, waving his hands and saying she didn't understand the rules. That's when she pulled out her actual badge, real, government-issued, and you could see the shift in his face. He paused for a second, like he didn't know whether to double down or make a run for it. But instead of backing off, he started yelling louder, saying she was impersonating an officer and that he'd called the real cops. Meanwhile, neighbors were starting to come outside, watching from their lawns, phones in hand. The whole situation was starting to feel unreal, and what he did next took it to a whole other level. By now, there were at least 10 people watching, some recording, others just trying to figure out what was going on. The fake HOA guy, clearly feeling the pressure, started pacing in front of my car like he was trying to stall for time. He pulled out his phone and started pretending to talk to dispatch, using phrases like suspect is non-compliant and need backup. Except he never gave any real details, and the call screen was still lit. Dude wasn't even on a call. My sister stayed calm, but you could tell she was ready to act if things went sideways. She kept asking simple questions. What's your name? Who do you report to? What agency do you work for? He dodged every single one. Then, out of nowhere, he accused me of trespassing in my own driveway. That got some laughs from the crowd, but it also made people uneasy. Nobody likes a stranger pretending to be an authority figure and trying to take control of a situation that clearly isn't his. One of our neighbors, who used to be on the actual HOA board before it disbanded stepped forward and said he'd never seen this guy before. That just made the fake officer snap. He started shouting that the neighborhood had gone downhill and that someone had to step up. But what he did next shocked everyone. The fake HOA guy suddenly turned toward the neighbor who spoke up and started pointing his finger in his face, calling him a disgrace and accusing him of abandoning his duties. The neighbor, totally stunned, tried to reason with him, but the guy wasn't having it. His voice got louder, his body language more aggressive. He was unraveling, fast. You could feel the tension shift. What started as an annoying parking dispute was now feeling like something way more serious. My sister stepped in between them, keeping her voice steady, telling him to back off and move his car immediately. That's when he reached into his pocket. People gasped, phones were raised higher, everyone froze. Turned out it was just a notebook, but in that moment, no one knew. He started scribbling fake citations, saying he'd report us all to the city, claiming he had every right to enforce community order. His tone wasn't just bossy anymore, it was unhinged. More neighbors started speaking up, calling him out, asking him to leave, but he wouldn't. He doubled down, yelling that he was restoring law and order to the block. And then, without warning, he tried to walk up our porch like he was going to inspect something. As my sister stood her ground on the porch steps, refusing to let him come any closer, the fake HOA guy suddenly changed his tone. Out of nowhere, he raised both hands and tried to play the victim. "I'm just doing my job," he shouted, loud enough for everyone on the block to hear. "This is harassment." The shift was so quick, it threw everyone off. 1 second he was the aggressor, the next he was acting like we were the ones threatening him. Then came the twist none of us saw coming. He said he was filing a formal complaint against my sister . He claimed she was impersonating an officer, even though she literally had her badge on her belt and ID in hand. He kept demanding her badge number and name, yelling that he had friends at City Hall and that he'd have her job by the end of the week. That's when a car slowly pulled up at the curb. It was one of my sister's colleagues, an off-duty officer she called earlier just in case things got worse. The moment the fake HOA guy saw the second badge and realized someone else was here to back her up, his whole act started to crumble. But instead of backing down, he did something no one expected. He reached into his car, and that's when the tension exploded. As the fake HOA guy reached into his car, the entire street went silent. You could hear the breeze, a dog barking somewhere in the distance. Everything just paused. My sister's hand instinctively went to her belt, ready to respond if things went sideways. Her off-duty colleague stepped forward, calm but firm, telling the man to stop and keep his hands where they could see them. The guy hesitated, clearly panicking now, then slowly pulled out a clipboard. Just a plain, old clipboard stacked with handwritten violation forms he'd made himself. Crumpled papers, scribbles, and what looked like rules he probably printed from some outdated neighborhood website. It was so ridiculous, half the crowd actually laughed. But the moment didn't last long, because what he didn't realize was that one of the papers had his real name and address on it. My sister's colleague spotted it, read it quietly, then stepped aside to make a quick call. Turns out, this guy wasn't just pretending to be part of an HOA. He had a record of pulling similar stunts in nearby neighborhoods. He'd done this before. Just as the situation was settling and everyone thought it was over, the real twist came. A woman showed up, mid-30s, flustered. Turned out she was his sister. She saw the scene, sighed, and said, "Not again, Jeremy." When his sister showed up and muttered those 3 words, "not again, Jeremy *", you could almost feel the whole block let out a collective sigh. She explained that he'd struggled with some personal issues lately and had this obsession with restoring order in neighborhoods that didn't ask for it. Apparently, he bought that fake badge online and had been convincing himself he was doing some kind of public service. It wasn't the first time. When his sister showed up and muttered those 3 words, "not again, Jeremy *", you could almost feel the whole block let out a collective sigh. She explained that he'd struggled with some personal issues lately and had this obsession with restoring order in neighborhoods that didn't ask for it. Apparently, he bought that fake badge online and had been convincing himself he was doing some kind of public service. It wasn't the first time. The off-duty officer stayed professional, but he and my sister both agreed it was time to get real law enforcement involved. Local police arrived shortly after, and once they reviewed everything, the fake citations, the blocking of private property, the impersonation, Jeremy was detained calmly and taken in for questioning. No drama, no cuffs thrown around for show, just the quiet, awkward end to a situation that had spiraled way too far. Neighbors hung around a bit longer, chatting about what happened, a few even thanking my sister for keeping things cool under pressure. As for me, I finally got to pull into my driveway, hours later, with one heck of a story to tell. In the end, it was a wild reminder that authority isn't just a badge or a clipboard. It's about respect, responsibility, and knowing when you've crossed the line. And Jeremy? He learned that lesson the hard way.